Guys, my name is Cassie, and today we have another special guest with us here, and this is Talk to CL Show. So, if you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do also hit the subscribe button, like this video, and also share it as well. So, I have a special guest with me, and she's going to introduce herself to you all so that you know whom we are going to talk to today. So, hi, Connie.
Hello, Cassie. How are you? Happy New Year.
I am doing. Happy New Year. I'm doing fine, and
So
you?
allowed to say that?
Oh, that's great. That's great to hear. So today we are going to chit chat with you. I mean, I know where you are from, but then I will allow you to introduce yourself so that the viewers will know where we are chatting from and then whom we are talking to. So please do a little bit introduction for us.
Okay, so my name is Constance. Short form is Connie. Everybody calls me that. And at the moment, I am a Kenyan, but at the moment,
Okay.
I am studying in Germany and living in the city of Bonn.
Okay.
And I don't know what else you want to hear.
Okay. So what program are you reading?
I am studying the Masters of Science program in social protection at the University of
Okay.
Sciences, Bonn-Rhein-Sieg. And
Okay.
my background is psychology. I studied at the University of Nairobi in Nairobi, Kenya. So from there,
Oh.
I proceeded to Bonn for my master's degree in
Okay.
2023. And now,
Oh.
yes, I only have about maybe a few months to 1 year to complete the master's degree, which I am looking forward to very much. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, what motivated you to study the social protection you are doing?
I would say, first of all, the program itself is international and it is
Okay,
entirely in English. So that is one of the most important things for me was the language of instruction has to be English. And in Germany, a lot of programs are, of course, administered in German. And this is one of the
yeah,
very few programs that you could study entirely in English in a very comfortable way. So that is one of the things that was important. Another thing, of course, it's a program that I feel is very much relevant and it can, in a very big way, complement my bachelor's degree
okay,
in psychology. So when I studied my bachelor's degree, I initially thought perhaps I could specialize in counseling, but after
okay,
graduation, 2 years after graduation, I thought, no, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. I would still like to practice psychology, but in a more applied context, not in
okay.
a full-time therapy. So I thought this is a nice program. I could still apply my previous skills and knowledge, and at the same time, of course, I get to learn new things. And yeah, definitely also the cost of the program at the
Okay.
university is quite affordable. And I was surprised to read that it was the semester fee is actually very much cheaper than
Okay.
a lot of universities charge in Kenya for per semester for a master's degree. So this is
Oh,
one of the things that I really like about the program. Yes, and of
so
course,
would you say you chose this course and Germany because of that? Because there are a lot of countries who actually practice this particular course. However, you chose Germany, of which you know language too is a barrier. So why did you choose Germany in the first place?
uh, first of all, the process of application for me was very straightforward. I could do everything on my own, and which
Okay.
means it saved a lot in terms of the costs, and the application was also free. And a number of countries I know you have almost always have to pay a certain amount to apply to a program.
Yeah.
And if you are applying to different programs, then it can be very, very expensive. And the tuition fee, like, I don't know, some people know it, but you also know that in
Yeah.
Germany, universities are tuition free. So this is one of
Mm-hmm.
the biggest pluses about applying to a master's degree in Germany. So for me, the language was not a very big concern before.
Yeah.
But I knew for sure I had already decided on Germany, so I just had to narrow down to international programs which are administered in English. So the cost is definitely one of the biggest, and of course also the education system is quite strong and extensive, and I had the trust that I would definitely learn so much more even outside the class environment. Yeah.
Okay. So, can you, I don't know Kenya, never been there before, but then can you take us through, I don't know how your application, your school application in Kenya looks like, but can you tell us a bit about your journey, like before coming here, what requirement was needed and all of that? Like a little bit about it.
Okay. So first of all, of course, you are required to apply for a master's degree. You are, of course, required to have a previous bachelor's degree, and
Okay.
uh, with a certain minimum grade of 2.5, and according
Okay.
to the German grading system. So it was a bit different for us because the Kenyan grading system is A, B, C, D, and not really in terms of the GPA grading system. So part of what
Okay.
I had to do initially, I tried to convert my uh, my
Your
GPA
results.
grades, yes, my transcript
Yeah.
into the German grading system. And this I just did by myself. I went online and checked a few things, and I just did it manually, and I had an average, which I indicated in my application. So that was one of the main requirements. But after getting the admission later, then you have to apply for the visa, for the national visa to come and study, which also has its own kind of requirements.
Yeah.
And of course, one of the main ones was you have an admission letter, and then you need to provide a proof of finances to sustain you at least for 1 year. So for my case, there's different options, of course, how you can prove your financial
Yeah.
status. But for my case, it was the blocked account. And if we check online, you find at that time there was three blocked account service providers in Germany. So there's Fintiba, there's Coracle, and there's Expatrio. So for
Okay.
me, I worked with Fintiva, and of course, I did everything by myself. So I just went online, checked all the information on I found out Fintiva is there. I downloaded their app, and I did the process about transferring the amount and registering, verifying documents, and then transferring the amount. And it took like 2 weeks. There were some challenges, of course, with the transfer
Okay.
from Kenya. So it took for me 2 weeks to get my blocked account confirmation, which I could then submit to the German embassy in Nairobi for my
Okay.
visa application. So that is quite about it. But if you have a question, maybe I might
I
forgotten.
have a question. So, in Kenya, I don't know, but I know for some African countries, traveling to Germany, they require you to have maybe at least A1 or A2 of the
Mhm.
language. So, I don't know for Kenya whether that is the same requirements they also ask for when you go for your interview or when you're going for your visa.
At that time, it wasn't really a requirement. I think it depends with the type of visa that you're applying for. And
Okay.
in the visa, what I understood at that time from the embassy was, if you're going to study in English, then you don't really need the language requirement.
Yeah.
Although we had already started studying German at the Goethe Institute in Nairobi, and so I had my A1 certificate. But when I took it with me, they said, "You don't need this. You're not gonna need it. Your program is entirely in English." But I mean, for different types of visa, if you need the language, then you have to provide the language certificate. So it is
Oh,
yeah, it depends on case by case basis.
okay. Did you face any challenge when applying?
Uh, mm, I can say no because with the application process, it was straightforward. And what I
Okay.
did really helped me was I started researching about this process like more than 1 year before. So by the
Oh,
time I did the application, I had all the information, all the relevant documents. So it was just uploading and writing up whatever was needed and this and that. It was very straightforward and quite easy. So yeah, I didn't experience any challenges with the process itself.
okay. So, how did you manage your traveling expenses when you were coming to Germany?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, this was a very costly affair. And once you
Okay.
get started, at some point you ask yourself, is it really worth it?
Worth
Because you
it.
realize all the money that you had, all savings and every little coin is gone and you're still not done with the process, especially with
Okay.
the bank account. So for me, my my social support system was very important. My family, especially, yeah, my friends also, and my bank.
Okay.
If you're not studying on a scholarship from a scholarship, then it
Yeah.
becomes a little bit challenging and you really have to organize. That's why I started the process quite early to raise some funds for the blocked account. So I got,
Oh, okay.
yes, I had some savings, and in addition to that, I got a little bit of support from family and friends, and then I had to get also a loan, which was interest free for
Oh,
me. That was a good
that's
thing.
nice.
Yes,
Yeah.
not from a bank, not from a bank. Banks don't do that kind of business.
No.
So I got a loan from a relative, which was interest free, and it made my life way much easier.
Better.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and then I got also somebody within the family who supported me by paying for my ticket. And a few other, my friend, for example, said, I will support you with the visa fees. So my social support system was very, very crucial in this process because,
Then Kenyans are very supportive because
yes, I mean, we will see that every day online. They always show
wow.
people they don't even know, people they just met. And yeah, it's really a very big thing. But of course, it also depends how well
Yeah, well
you've
connected.
been investing in your social capital beforehand, you know. It's not just
Yeah.
something that happens overnight. So this was very, very helpful for me, yeah. And of course, at that time, I was running a small business in Kenya, online on Instagram,
Okay.
and I got to save some money also from this business because I knew I will need so much money for all this process, the visa fees, the blocked account, shopping, the air tickets, and everything else. Yeah, I knew I would definitely need some money. So this business was helping me a lot to contribute
That's
towards it.
great.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, so tell us the very first day you got to Germany. How was the feeling like?
The very first day. Maybe I don't remember a lot of details, but I was very exhausted. I was very exhausted, but I was also very lucky to get through a friend of mine. I got somebody to pick me from the airport and take me straight to the place where I needed to be. I had stories from some students or some students mostly that some of them
Yeah.
just come and they don't know where they're going, they don't know anyone, and it's
Mm-hmm.
very horrific. But I was lucky to get a friend to take me from the airport to the place where
Oh,
I needed to stay. And uh, I got also the first shock of my life, geography. I arrived in the evening around 5 and got home to the house at around, let's say, 8 p.m. And it
Why?
was still hot. It was still hot and it was
But
sunny.
okay.
It was still sunny, and I'm like, what is going on? What do you mean? It's 9:30 p.m. I couldn't sleep because my brain had not yet adjusted to this new kind of system. So
System.
it's
Okay.
9:30 p.m. and the sun is still shining and there's so much light. It was, yeah. But
That
it,
was your first cultural shock.
yes, kind of, yeah. I,
Oh,
I
okay.
I had not anticipated that before. I think I had thought about almost everything, but not this particular part.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's cool. And talking about accommodation, is it like you applied in Kenya before coming here, or it's when you got here that you got one? Or how is the accommodation? How was it for you?
Oh, that is not a very interesting aspect about relocating to Germany because
Okay.
it is one of the biggest hurdles actually finding
Yeah.
accommodation. And the most frustrating thing is that every other process of your settling in, of your adapting, is tied to your accommodation because you need an address. And
Yeah.
so it took me like 3 months, 2 months actually, yeah, like 2 months to get accommodation with a student Bornheim. But I had applied in May and traveled in September. I applied in May while still in Kenya. But
Oh,
it was still not early enough, apparently.
yeah.
And so it was a very stressful 2 months living with a friend and trying to find accommodation. At some point, I was very much frustrated because I had exhausted the money, the fluid cash that I had. And I couldn't
Oh,
access money from my blocked account because for that, I need a bank account, a German bank account. And for that, for a
you
German
need an
I
address.
need an address to open a no. First of all, for that I need a registration from the city to open a bank account.
Yeah.
And for the registration from the city, I need an actual address in my name. So this was like very stressful, to be honest.
Oh,
And yeah, and a lot of people I talked to, they said, yeah, you applied beforehand, but 3 months is not enough. Maybe something like 6 to 8 months. You just apply. So one tip for people who are planning to come to study in Germany, even before you get your admission, as long as you know you want to apply to this and this university, if you're planning to apply for the student accommodation with this university, then just apply for the accommodation, even when you do not have your admission
yeah.
letter or any
I
other.
agree.
And you can always cancel it if you do not have your admission by the time you get the accommodation. But if you get your admission afterwards, then it makes things so much easier for you, and yeah, all the process becomes very easily flowing. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So far, how do you see the program you're doing? I mean, you are here already. You've started the program. Is it going on well? Um, is it up to your expectation?
I would say, yeah, mostly yes, to a greater extent, because with a background in psychology, I could find the content was quite relatable. It was
Okay.
quite complementing to my previous knowledge and experiences. But at the same time, of course, there comes some challenges, and especially in the first and second semester, I felt a lot of pressure personally
Okay.
in terms of the content, the workload, in terms of the timelines, and this was just one of the main challenges that I expected even beforehand. But of course, it's also my first master's degree,
Okay.
so it came with a lot of differences as far as my education journey is concerned. I feel like perhaps for people who have done another master's degree before, it might be different because they already have an idea of what exactly to expect, but generally, the
Yeah.
German education system is quite intensive, and it needs a lot of commitment, a lot of your time, and a lot of your intentionality to be there for each and every session, each and every lecture. So this was one of the main challenges. But I would say generally, I enjoyed studying and got the chance to also interact with so many different people from different
Okay.
African countries and also Asian and South Americans, for example. And this was a good learning experience. And of course, within the program, also this opportunity to meet people who are actually working in the field was quite relevant, I would say.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
that's okay. So, comparing the education system back home
Mhm.
and here in Germany, is there any vast difference?
And the main difference is that it needs you to be serious whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not,
Okay.
I felt like studying in Kenya was so much easier. Even though,
Easier than here.
yes, even though perhaps I know at that time when I did my bachelor's, I would probably have thought, oh, this is very intensive or something like this, but I felt like here it needs a lot of intentionality, it needs a lot of commitment, and
Okay.
so that everything can fit into the time that you have, which means you need to organize your work time very strategically so that it can fit in the lecture schedule. And yeah, generally, I would say it was quite intense, but also very much more relevant. I felt
Okay.
there's so many things that I spent time studying that I never needed afterwards, while in Kenya. But here I could
Yeah.
feel, I could get the sense that every little thing that I spend my time learning would actually be relevant in the actual working environment. So this was
Oh,
quite impressive to experience.
that's okay. So so far, do you have any German friends? How is your experience with the Germans?
Okay, yes, I have a few, very few
Okay.
German friends. Of course, I mean, our, my program is international and
Okay.
it's taught in English, and there's no German. No, actually one German. Yes, I think one
Yeah.
German in the in the class. So this is already like closing you up, and this is you have something in common with these people. And so my friends are mostly international
Okay.
English speaking people, but
Yeah.
through other places like work and a few social events, I got to meet make a few German friends.
Okay.
But I would say this aspect of social life, social interactions, and relationships is very different from what is happening in Kenya, for example. I could
Okay.
just be seated in the public transport system in Nairobi and start talking to a random person. And before I
Mm-hmm.
know it, they are inviting me to their birthday 1 week later, and now they are my friend. And so easy, everything
Yeah.
just so easily, and I don't feel like a stranger. But here I feel Germans, to me, they are more reserved and more closed, and they have
Mm-hmm.
very clear boundaries in terms of who is my friend. They have very clear definitions of who is my friend, who
Yeah.
is a close friend, and who is an acquaintance. But in Kenya, for example, it is all mixed up. As long as I know you, it's like you're
Yeah.
almost already my friend, and we meet once or twice, and now you're like a close friend of mine, and it's so easy. But yeah, very different here, and it's also very difficult to initiate conversations with strangers because I got the sense that most people do not feel comfortable with that. It feels like you are intruding their personal space. So
Yeah.
it is very different in that way.
Okay, that's okay. And what about their language? Since you got here, how is the language like for you? Are you able to speak it now?
Oh my God. Wow, wow, wow. Entschuldigung, Entschuldigung. This is this is like
Because
well,
you're my mentor. You have to speak because you I have tried, but it's not working.
you can try mit Karte bitte. Well, well, well. Oh, I know, right? I know. Some people say, "Oh, you speak so well. Your German is good."
Yeah.
But then I get to speak to a native, and it's just like I cannot hear anything they're saying. What are you saying? What, what are you saying? I cannot hear anything you are saying. I don't know what you're saying. But I would say it is. Yeah, it takes time. I got to accept the fact that it's not going to happen overnight, developing
Okay.
this language, because this is a very different language from English. The
Yeah.
structure, the grammatical structure, the rules are also a little bit different. There's a lot more differentiations in terms of
Mhm.
articles, in terms of, tenses, and yeah, so many different rules. And I have accepted that it will take time, but
Okay.
also I know for sure that I have experienced some growth from in terms of my language, also vocabulary, since I came from Nairobi. So this is a continuous journey, but I know it depends also with how much effort, how much time I am putting into it. And I would say in the past, like 6 months, I haven't put in as much effort. And so I think it would have been even much better if
Better. Yeah.
I put in a lot more time and effort to learn this language. But practicing and speaking all that broken broken German helps sometimes. So yeah,
Okay.
it's still a work in progress.
At least you are in a better league than some of us.
And this lie is why you make me relax. You should tell me more. That is terrible.
No, I know you speak better because I can't speak. I am trying, but it's not working. So you're still in a better league than some of us.
Yeah, I mean, we will still grow and just accepting and understanding that this is not, first of all, this is not my first language. I speak
Yeah.
like three other languages. I speak Swahili, English, and my other mother tongue. So in
Okay.
addition to that, German is my fourth language. So I accepted that it's not gonna be the same like how I learned Swahili. I started speaking it from like 1 year old,
Okay.
English as well. And so this is not gonna be a very
Easy.
easy journey,
Yeah.
and I'm just doing it at my own pace and utilizing the opportunities that are there to learn and practice. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's okay. Do you see yourself staying in Germany after school or returning back to Kenya?
Oh, this is a very tricky question. Actually, this is a not
Yeah.
very. It doesn't have a very straightforward answer.
Okay.
I would say this kind of decision is a decision that you always make. It is going to be different at every after every certain period of time in my life. For now, I
Yeah.
would say I can say today, yes, I want to finish my degree, try to improve my language skills, and try to explore what opportunities are available. But then I
Mhm.
also know that Germany is not the only place that there is opportunities to grow. And if
Yeah.
something else comes up, I will have to evaluate my options, depending on what do I have to gain and what do I have to lose by staying or by moving to a different place. So this is a
Okay.
decision that is going to evolve. It will keep on changing depending on what is on the table. If I get better, let's say, work opportunities or business opportunities abroad, even in Ghana, who knows? I would say I
Yeah.
would think about it and say, wow, this looks like a better option than just staying here. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, I do not want to limit myself from growth opportunities. So this is a
Okay.
decision that I always have to make at a specific point, depending on what information or what is there, what I have to choose from.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. You faced any racism here?
In terms of this is usually a very, I would say, a very sensitive conversation, but
Yeah.
I have read a lot about other people's experiences with racism directly, but I would
Okay.
say this is for me just the much information I have. Because why I say this is because I have this psychology awareness that we never really know what is going on with the other person. Yeah. And
Okay.
so for me, it is very sometimes not very clear if somebody is just having a bad day or if
Yeah.
they're being racist.
Yeah.
Unless they say specifically something that is pointing towards my race, then I cannot just label everything that I see as racism. But I
Okay.
also very strongly acknowledge that this is something that is there. And there's
Yeah.
people who are close to me who have experienced this directly. At the same time, I mean, uh, it is just very important to accept that it's there and it is beyond my individual
Yeah.
control, for example.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with me. If you want to be racist, you can do it. Do whatever you want to do. That's just you. That's who you are. And I don't wanna waste my energy and time carrying all this burden of uh,
Okay.
what if you're being racist? What if you're being this and that? You know, because I know we are African and we have a very strong anchoring in terms of our identity, and that
Mm-hmm.
should be something that we always remind ourselves,
Yeah.
always go back to draw our strength, whether or not we experience racism. But yes, it is important to just have this awareness. It may be
Okay.
somebody is just having, they're mean to you because they are having a bad day, and or it's their personality and they're usually mean to everybody else. But sometimes they are actually mean to you because they are being racist. But you, how much energy and how much time and attention you give to it, it also gives them the power to do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you
I
you
agree.
have you have you have a very big space within which you can choose if you want to put in so much attention to that and your energy and your time, or if you would rather refocus all that resources to something more productive for yourself. So this
Okay.
is this is generally how I decide to intentionally decide to look at this topic about.
Yes. Yeah, sure. Thank you on that. And also, what about having a job here? Is it difficult to find a job in your zone? I don't know.
Mm, I would say this is first of all, it's what do you mean by a job? And there's
So, I
and
mean, you're a student, and
yeah,
then I know, literally getting yourself a job here, especially in their job market,
mhm,
it requires you to have language skill and all of that,
yeah,
which I know most often is difficult for we the international students or Africans here to navigate ourselves into through their job search.
yeah.
So I'm asking, like, in terms of you, when you came here, I mean, how is job search for you? Is it something you find it difficult to find, or something that, I mean, to you, it hasn't been a big problem?
Okay. First of all, I would say I just want to acknowledge that there is indeed like a vastness of opportunities in terms
Okay.
as far as your financial getting something to get you money to survive on. You know, there is so much opportunities that you can venture into. But of course,
Okay.
these are ranging in terms of how easy it is. You can get something easily to do, but then how long would you be willing to do that if it's draining your physical, mental energy, and if it's taking a lot of your time? So there's always
Okay.
a decision you have to make. And of course, as a student, the limitations of the working hours, the maximum working hours per week is also something to consider. However, the language still tops everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The lesser language skills you have, the more, the lesser happier I would say you will be with your job. The better language skills you have, the better working opportunities you have access to.
Okay.
And yeah, it is still one of the main challenges, but also in so many different industries, like let's say the service industry, there are places where you can work without the language, sufficient language skills, for example. But there are
Yeah.
also places within the service industry where they will not accept you, or they will not give you a better job if you do not have really good
Okay.
skills. But my personal experience was, first of all, just being open to, depending on the situation and the point where you are, being open to what is available and to explore it and judge from your own experience, if you get.
Okay.
I have worked in a few different industries, in sales, for example, without sufficient language skills, and in the service industry as well, in the hotel. And I was open to do this at that point because my skills, my language was still very limited, even though it is not uh, very great. But at the
Yeah.
moment, I got an opportunity to work with a German organization. However, in my case, the organization that I work for has a regional office in East Africa, and this is the office that I support, is the region that I support, which means I do not need that much German language skills to navigate the task
Okay.
because my communication is mainly in English, and uh, in the region in East Africa, for example, there's English, there's Swahili, and there's French for some of the countries like DRC and Rwanda. However, there's
Okay.
people within the team who speak French, and for Uganda, I need only English. I don't need German. And for Rwanda and DRC and Burundi, I need French, but also making use of this language translation apps, for example,
Okay.
to communicate basic information. But in terms of the tasks, I do not really need extremely or exceedingly good German language skills to be able to perform. So this is very different based on what the organization does, what kind of work they engage in, and in what regions they are working in. There's German organizations that are working mainly in Germany, which means they need you to communicate with German clients and German sponsors and donors and different kinds of people who are based in Germany. But
Okay.
there are also German organizations. They are German organizations founded by German with their headquarters in Germany. However, their work is in other regions which do not need German to be able to perform. So this is
Okay.
always something that you have to do a lot of research about where you want to apply and what also do you have to offer to them, so that for some organizations, I know they might be willing to forego this one thing if you have
Okay.
everything else that they would like to get in a candidate. They might be willing to say, well, your German skills are not that good, but if you are continuing to study the language, which means after some time you will get better in it, then we can still take you, so
Thank you.
we can benefit from all these other skills that you have as you improve your skills. And of course, the more you speak, the more you use the language, the better you get.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Oh, okay. So how is living expenses here too compared back home? Is it expensive to live in Germany?
I would say Bonn is one of the cities where I find the living expenses to be quite not cheap per se, but quite reasonable. I mean, there are other
Okay.
cities, there are some other bigger cities like Munich, for example, and Frankfurt. I imagine the cost of living is a little bit higher and you need a little bit more money. But it also means in these bigger cities, there is more work opportunities to get money
Yeah.
to be able to sustain yourself. I would say for me, I did not experience a very huge difference in terms of the cost of living, because I
Okay.
was living in Nairobi and I noticed a number of things that were almost the same, or the difference is not that significant in terms of the
Okay.
cost of food, the cost of, let's say, clothing, the rent and accommodation, that's a different story. But also, I mean, it depends. In Nairobi, it depends with where you want to live, you know,
Okay.
and how far is it from the central business district, from town. Which means if you live closer to the town, to the CBD, you pay more. You have to pay more in terms of rent. And if you live farther
Okay.
from the CBD, then you pay a little bit less in terms of rent. And here, I would say it's almost a similar case. And so that there are differences, yes, in the cost of living, but for me, it was not a very big difference, except in terms of the accommodation. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
That's okay. Do you think studying in Germany is affordable for Kenyan students? I mean, any Kenyan that is watching you.
I think this is also a question about a mindset. You know,
Okay.
affordability is relative. And
Okay.
for me, I look at it from this perspective. Yeah. If I wanted to pursue a master's degree in Kenya, let's see, my semester fee right now in Germany is like, let's say, 330 euros, per semester.
Yeah.
And I did some research before for some programs in Kenya in certain universities, and they pay like double or maybe three times of this per semester, depending, of
In
course.
Kenya.
Yes, yes. And
Oh.
private universities are even much more expensive. I know a certain university, a private university within Nairobi, that needs somebody to have like 2,000 or 2,500 euros per semester
Okay.
for a low master's degree. So it depends, first of all, on what what program do you want to study,
Yeah.
right? And in what states. In some states
Okay.
in Germany, I don't remember which one exactly, but there are states where international students have to pay. They are not exempted from tuition fees, even in public
Okay.
universities.
Yeah.
And so you have to research about this and make sure that the state, the university you're going to study in, is in a state where where education in public universities is tuition free. That is number one or number two or number whatever. And of
Okay.
course, there's also what do you have to, what is it you want to get out of it? Do you want to get a German degree to be able to work in Germany, or do you want to get a German degree to be able to work elsewhere globally? So for me, this is something doable. I did it,
Okay.
I did it without a scholarship, and of course, there's also scholarship opportunities which people can apply to. So that there is a
Yeah.
lot of opportunities that people can open themselves up to and
Okay.
explore. So I did it, and somebody else can definitely do it, and
Do it.
perhaps in a much more easier way than it was. But of course, the dynamics of going to study abroad keep changing almost every year. For example, the blocked account amount also keeps changing every year, maybe every
Yeah.
2 years, I'm not sure. It is very different right now from what it was when I was applying for the same. So it's just
Okay.
a matter of how much are you willing to sacrifice for the process, and what do you get for it, and
Okay.
then you can make the decision if it's worth what's the choice or not. But something else also that is important, not just for Kenyan students, but also for, I mean, um, a lot of, I would say, African students, but this is from a Kenyan experience, that there's some people who think you must have an agent to come and study in Germany, for example, and
Okay.
they end up being conned lots of money for things that
Mhm.
they could just do
Do
it
it
very
themselves.
easily, very
Yeah.
easily. Yes. So one important thing is to gather as much information as possible so that no one can you take advantage of your not knowing to get money from you. You know,
Okay.
there's a lot of information online on Google, on YouTube. The German government has also websites where you can get information about studying in Germany. And
Mm-hmm.
if you get all the information, prepare your documents well according to the instructions. I mean, they're very lenient that they even write you, these are the steps you need to take, and for each step you will need this, this, this. It is very straightforward. So gather as much information as possible on YouTube, on Google, everywhere. There's a lot of information, and so that people do not take advantage of you as
Yeah.
even agents. Yeah. So this is something really doable. Yeah.
That's that's nice. Your experiences so far, would you recommend Germany to anybody watching you?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
I would.
That's
Yeah.
that's okay. And any advice for anybody who wants to apply to a school here or who wants to travel? Would you advise the person to stay back home or travel?
I think this is a very personal decision, and as I said
Okay.
before, it depends what do you have to give for it? What are you losing and what are you gonna gain? And
I
so,
mean, in the context of Africa, we all know how bad
mm,
our economy is.
yes,
And we all know how, I mean, after school, how it's difficult to find a job. So
yeah.
in the context of Africans, would you advise people to travel or stay back home or what?
Yeah, I get your point, but it's still not a very yes or no answer.
Okay.
For me, this works for a lot of people. But I mean, if we are being honest, there are also people who it did not work for them. Moving did not work for them, perhaps because they have
Yeah.
different unrealistic expectations. One thing is
Yes.
that there is a lot of opportunities out here which you can tap into, but another thing is you have to be willing to go out for it. You know, the education
Okay.
system is different, it is intense. You have to put in your commitment. You will not be rewarded for just moving to Germany and just sitting in your couch the whole day, you know? So you have to be willing to go out there and challenge yourself. And for some people, it did not work because they had different unrealistic expectations. However,
Okay.
would also say there's people in African countries who also are in very good job positions and they are not willing to let go of this to go and start afresh. So for me, it is important to get as much information as possible and then weigh your
Mm-hmm.
options. For some people, staying there in their current job is the best option. For some people, it is the best option is to move and explore opportunities outside of their country. So this is it's still a very personal decision. But from my own experience, I think I made the right decision to move to
Relocate.
Germany. Yes, even though
Okay.
then with its own challenges. Yeah.
That's okay. Lastly, how do you see relationship here?
What?
How
What?
do you see relation?
I cannot hear you. I what? Hello? Hello? Do you
You can't hear me. You
do you have internet problems? I cannot hear
you
you.
can't hear me. Hi,
Hello?
Connie.
Hello?
Oh my goodness.
Hello there. Hello, hello. What do you mean? What? Okay. Let's move on. Today I am it's a good Sunday morning. I am very good girl. I'm ready to go to
Wrap
church.
up for us. It's okay. Wrap up for us. I'm not asking again. It's okay. Wrap up for us. Okay. So
Yeah, for me, I think just to finalize the conversation, I mean, we've already talked about almost everything that is
yes.
important. But to
Yes.
summarize, I think the main thing I would say is to challenge yourself, to
Mm-hmm.
explore opportunities beyond the comfort zone of the home country. And number
Okay.
two, gather as much information as possible. Technology has made it so easy for our generation that you can
Yes.
learn anything online. And you do not
Yeah.
need a lot. You only need a few internet bundles to access information. So this is something you can always make use of. As long
Okay.
as you know you plan to explore opportunities outside, then you start as soon as possible to gather information. And number three is when you get abroad, this is something that I think happens quite often, that we tend to relax because when we are, let's say, in our home countries, in African country, for example, and we're experiencing certain challenges, like, for
Mm-hmm.
example, the very high rates of unemployment and
Yeah.
moving or relocating abroad is like a very big dream. And then
Yeah.
when we get here, our brain tricks us and says, now you have achieved your biggest dream, and then you relax. But no, it does not end there. You still have to commit yourself to learn the language, to learn new skills, so that you keep evolving. And therefore, the more you evolve, the more you grow, the more opportunities you have access to. So that's my closing remarks.
Thank you, Connie.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for sharing your story with us. I really do appreciate it. And yes, okay, finally, I get to know much more about how Kenyan process is. And I hope everybody watching it too will be able to do whatever it takes. If you are looking forward to travel outside, then particularly if you're in Kenya, especially, then this video is for you to watch. So, Connie, I just want to say a very big thank you to you for, I mean, it has been off and on, but then I want to say thank you for coming on my
Yes.
show and also talking to us. I really do appreciate that a lot. And so, if you are new here, please do want to hit the subscribe button, like this video, and also share it to your friends as well. So this is how we end it here. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.